Okie
Alright,
dokie.
let's do this, you guys.
Just being curious, MaddCow, with me being really aggressive with those orbital, alright or no?
When it's clear that he's obviously not focusing on you. Oh, that's one thing I forgot. Okay, hold on. I'm writing shit down. Hold on.
You can back out if need be.
No, it's fine. You guys are good.
Okay, you might want to ask a question about your medic and you asked me about stuff like that Wednesday.
Yeah, I talked to Black Kyra a little bit. He gave me a couple pointers for Kyra and Jeff, which is the main ones that I play.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Much better. Monsters should have full armor, so if he does get engaged, this is a much stronger start for him. So now if he goes, he should probably go and curve to the left, because the hunters are probably going to be following from this area. But look at that. Full armor, half energy. Much stronger start this time. There is a sloth here that he can use to his advantage and possibly have the hunters take some residual damage. Now just be very careful. This is a great feeding area, but it's also easy for the hunters to kind of block. What you need to do is you need to bait the trapper towards one location over here or over here, beeline it, and then go straight across. You basically want to do a hook as much as you possibly can. He might actually get enough food to actually get ready for... Oh, that sloth being a jerk. What a jerky sloth. Oh, and it does look like that he will get domed. However, if you get domed and you have full energy ready to evolve as soon as you get out of the dome, that's a win in my book. Because once the dome is down, if you can avoid enough damage, you can make it to stage 2 and just go from there. Much stronger time this time around. Hey, Shallow, how's it going? Try refreshing the page, Victory. It shouldn't be buffering. So right now, I would probably, as him, pick a spot to get engaged, because you're probably not going to sneak past, just because he still looks like he's... Yeah, see, look at this. He's going this way, and then down there, hug the walls. You're losing a lot of distance by, you know, it's all about angles and vectors. Nice. There we go, getting a little bit more energy. Ooh, and that trapper might be able to go ahead and start. Ooh, it looks like he might try and engage the hunters at Pride Rock. Ooh, really good start. Ooh, that's a lot of good pressure. Now, while the healers are being behind, this is the perfect time to go away. But it looks like he actually is going to just choose this to go ahead and engage. Ooh, oh, and that leap smash, great. The fire breath. Ooh, the medic might actually go down here. This is perfect. Absolutely, and finally, Hank gets the shield a little close to comfort, but fantastic job. Oh, that perfect. Get out of there. Take the strike. And I think that take the strike and go, because right now they're not going to dome you without their medic. So, fantastic start. And it does, oh, and the flame breath will allow Kyra to get up. Support might go down in just a second, though. Really strong engagement. Oh, and it does look like he is going to get the strike on the support. Fantastic work. Oh, and the assault needs to pop his personal shield pretty soon, and there we go. And there goes the dome. I do like that they held off the dome until the monster had low health, but this is probably not a dome they want to be in. Completely different monster this time around. Amazing work by Cross. Absolutely great. Oh, and the medic almost about down to go again. One more fire breath, one more hit. There we go. So Kyra at 2 strikes, support at 1. This is looking very bad for the hunters. At this point, I would probably take the dome down and see if the monster's willing to leave, and then just get out of there. Because right now, oh, on the assault, almost about to go down. There we go, and it's just a trapper. Trapper gets the medic up, so the medic might be able to go and accelerate. But at this point, oh, and it does look like Task will be able to go ahead and pick up the assault. I like that the assault did pop his personal shield to prevent bleed out. I probably would have waited a little closer just in case the monster decided to show up as well. So the hunter's trying to do as much chip damage as possible. I don't know if that's the right thing. Like, the medic is about to die. Oh, and the monster does disengage. So the monster is taking the safe route, saying, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and evolve. If you get domed, this is fine. You don't have to worry about Hank, and the medic's at 2 strikes. So this is actually just very fine. Just go ahead. In fact, you could probably almost evolve on top of them. And because Markov does very little damage, and they don't have their support in orbital, you can pretty much evolve anywhere, and you'd be okay with that. So it does look like that the monster is going away.
You have 181 ping.
No, he's not.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be causing teleporting.
Teleporting is like up to the 300.
It might be a computer issue. There might be some packet loss. Even though you have good things, there's just high packet loss.
And there we go. So it looks like the monster... Trapper being super aggressive here. I'd almost wait if you could just get. I'd almost actually eat a couple of bites of food and then go after the Trapper. So the Trapper by himself here is going to go ahead and evolve. I would go ahead and evolve now. You know, if you can't smell the assault and it's just a Trapper and they're down the support, this is actually not a bad play. So this is looking very, very good for Cross. So Cross will take a little bit of permanent damage here, but you know what? It's insignificant. He has gained a lot of ability here. So there goes the Dome coming down, and the rest of their team is still catching up to get inside. And it looks like that he's got 3 in fire, 2 in leap, and 1 in charge. I do like the 1 point in charge and going straight after the medic. Absolutely brilliant. I like that his focus is a lot better this game. He knows that without Hank, and I like that he waited until the timer of the dropship ran out before downing the medic. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but either way, that was an absolutely brilliant move. They should really take down this zone. They're in no condition to fight. They don't have the support, and they don't have the medic. And so right now, the monster is just going to be getting free strikes. He is in the permanent health damage, but he's got so much health at this point that I think that this is such a strong commanding lead that I don't think that there's anything that these guys can do. So at this point, when he's all by himself, he really should try and pounce. And it looks like, oh, and it looks like the support finally decides to show up. Support getting a mouthful of fire, and the assault, or there we go, leap smash onto the body. That was a fantastic move. Does look like the support is going to get away for a second, and it does look like he is going to back away. Ooh, maybe. Nope, looks like he's going to go after the assault now.
When the medic is at like 10 HP, you can't not shield her.
I would. Oh no, I was shielding. You stopped deep to try to get orbital pusher away.
I know, but that's not what's important. He's out low.
Sorry.
There you go. Biggest issue was you guys, like, when I called out the monsters on me, you guys were still running away from me.
Normally, you know.
So after this, I'm going to back out because there's a lot of debrief.
Yeah, but he was chasing
You
me
just
pretty
have to
hard.
expect anything. Just communicate it.
I told you guys to run.
Yeah, they just need to listen. Because I can't do anything unless he comes to a position that I can keep him contained.
Ooh, going after the Tyrant. I'm not a big fan of going after 4 meats unless you're at stage 3 and there's no other food. It just takes so long to kill, and granted you're not being pressured by the hunters, obviously, but at the same time, I hate going after wildlife. That Tyrant could be a deciding factor in a final engagement, and so it's never worth the extra meat that you might get. Okay, now he should evolve. Now be careful, there is a Hank, and it's unlikely that the Hank will orbital you. But it looks like we do get trap jaws. And it looks like the trap jaws are running away. This is going to be good. He'll be able to get 5 meat right off the bat.
I think he was going to go for the kill. Like, that's why I was just like, he's on me, you know? Like, when he knocked me into that spot, I was like, yeah, he's definitely going to go for the kill now that I got took slot damage as well.
Oh, don't go after...
The Reapers are still on you.
But thank you.
Tyrant just died?
Yeah, sounds like it.
Oh, and it looks like the hunters are going to come right to him.
Alright, we gotta be really careful because I have 2 down. I'm gonna go down pretty quickly.
Ooh, that Reaver going after this.
Who's making a relay fight?
I'm dead.
Okay, so support is going to go away. So I feel that you don't have to be that close to the relay when you're the last person alive, unless the monster is actually engaging there. Especially with Hank, because you can always orbital this spot from a very far away. Oh, and the medic almost about to go down. 1 fire breath should be it. Nice harpoon, probably saved the medic's life. And it does look like the medic is going to go down. Just a lot of damage. They probably don't have the, without the ability to recover. It looks like that this is just going to be a strong game for the monster.
I'm surprised that didn't end at stage 1.
GG. Much stronger game this time around, Cross. I'm going to go ahead back out because there was quite a lot to talk about. But really good game. Okay. Before I dive in, I wanted to get your guys' opinions. Kraz, what do you think was the difference between this game and that game? Because it was almost like you were a completely different monster player. And before I get into your play style, I want to know what was different about it to you.
Hello, Cross, you there?
Did you unmute him?
Sorry, I was
Yeah.
fixing talking to a few.
No worries. So I don't know if you heard it or not. So I just wanted to, before I go in, I wanted to know from your point of view and your personal feelings, what do you feel that you did differently that changed that game? Because the difference between you and this game and your previous game was night and day. And so I'm curious on what it was from your point of view.
I just played like the Omi in this one.
What was that?
I just played like the Omi in this one.
Okay, but yeah, so like the first game, it seemed like you were a little on tilt, just mostly because you probably got domed early. So if you, sorry,
Just that I was trying to go feeding routes, and then I went, have no feed. Crap, I'm screwed.
yeah, and so I think that definitely threw you off tilt on the Senka in the first game. But the Senka game, just straight from the get-go, you just did a really good job. You went straight to the food. You got lucky with 2 mammoth birds. By the time they were able to organize, you were almost ready to evolve. And then you just had a really good opportunity at the very beginning, and you capitalized on it. So you did a really, really, really good job. And then for the hunters' perspective, what do you think changed from this game between this one and the last one?
Honestly, I guess I'll start. Honestly, what I think changed was we weren't as organized, like both during the hunts and the fights. Before, we used like really strong teamwork to kind of herd him back to areas that he's already fed, so we knew there wasn't much food for him to get. Like it wasn't very much of a threat for him to like re-armor up and harass us. You know, this time we kind of let him have free roam of wherever he wanted to go, and we just didn't react fast enough to certain things that went on. Like there was one like that stage 1 engage. I didn't let my team know what was really going on. Like I didn't know how hard, like let them know how hard he was aggroed onto me. They didn't really take it as like that big of a deal since it was a stage 1 like harass, and it ended up with me getting it down and the support getting it down like almost immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
So,
Go
ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, definitely. It's also very interesting. Like I really, really stress this so very much that this game is extremely psychological. Like the moment one side gets an advantage, like if I'm the monster and I'm like doing all, even if I'm playing absolutely perfectly and I'm going to win the game, if I feel defeated, I play like I'm defeated. If I'm on the hunter team and I feel like we're losing, even if we're winning in the long run, I play like I feel like I'm defeated. And there's a very high mental ability with that, where like this game really puts people on tilt very quickly, and you can see it in Kraz. Like he did a great start or opening, so that built up his confidence, and so when he engaged, it got even better. And once you start getting strikes on them, you know, it's kind of interesting how your brain kind of puts out a lot of things that you don't really care about. Like your brain basically turns into a focus mode. I don't know how to really describe it, but it's the same thing with hunters and monsters, more so than monster than hunter for the most part, because it's kind of like this primal thing in the brain. But it's definitely one of those things. And as the hunters, you always felt on the back leg. You always felt on the defensive. Like there were a couple of points where I feel like you probably could have come back, but it didn't feel like your gameplay reflected that, for instance. And so it's one of those things to always be mindful of, that even if it looks like you're losing, always try to push that aside. Like it really is a heavily psychological game, and as such, it's usually like because I don't know, the best way I could explain it is, even if it's worth the extra risk, if you can make it look like you're dominating the other team, they will play like they're being dominated, and it will allow you to be a lot more calm and collect because they're not putting the pressure on you. It's a very pressure-oriented game. And so once the monster was able to put the pressure on the hunters didn't have the opportunity to calmly relax and be like, okay, we'll go over here and here. You're always scrambling just to try and survive mode. Whereas in the first game, it was the opposite. The monster had only a little bit of armor, even though though he was taking very little damage and you guys weren't doing tons of damage in the domes, he easily could have made that game work, but he felt like he played like he felt defeated, and you could really tell by play. And I'm very long-winded, so I'll just wrap this up, but it's a very psychological mentality. And so the first engagement is always, I wouldn't say always, it's going to set the pace of the game for the rest of the match. If it's a very strong hunter outcome, it's going to reflect that most likely in the next few domes as well. Same thing with the monster, and I'm not saying that there's no such thing as comebacks, there always are, but a lot of the times, especially in high-level play, the first engagement dictates the pace of the game.
You can be long-winded. We love the information you're giving, so trust us. The more you give us feedback, the better. So don't worry about time.
Definitely.
You're on your time here. You're not on our time.
No worries.
I mean, honestly, anything you tell us is just gonna help us strengthen our game. Unless you just start singing like, I don't know, Backstreet Boys or something, that's not really gonna help us.
Nah, I'm an NSYNC person, not a Backstreet Boys.
But
that's besides the point.
Like anything you
I
tell
always
us
took
about
you
the
for
game.
Hanson.
Ew.
Back to the point.
Okay, so with what comes to little details, I think that the moment the medic and the support went down, as a trapper, I would have thrown down the dome. At that point, the monster had only a little bit of armor, and so basically you encourage the monster to, hey, go away, we'll let you keep these strikes, just stop beating us up right now, and I feel that that would have been the better play. Anytime the support or the medic, especially if both of them are down, very, very, very strongly consider just taking down the dome, except you got some strikes, you're not going to do that much permanent damage, and allow the monster to get away. It's far better for that, because once a monster gets one or two people down, especially if it's a support and the medic, it's very easy for the monster to keep getting strikes, because like when you get one person up, the monster's focusing on someone else. When they're down, then the monster can focus on someone else, and you're basically kind of giving the monster almost free strikes. So always strongly consider taking down the dome early, even if there was no damage done on your side. It's a lot better to recollect and come back at full force than only 3 hunters or possibly 2 hunters in the next engagement. That being this case, Kraz, you did a great job focusing the medic when the support wasn't around and focusing the support when the medic wasn't around. So really, really good job. You were doing, in the first game, you were more on the defensive mode, and so you were kind of just doing a little bit of damage here and there. But in this game, you were doing a lot better precision, and even if you ate damage, it was worth going for that damage. That being the case, I do have an extra note from the first game that I forgot to tell you, Kraz, is that at one point you got Hank down to like 10 or 15%, and then he threw an orbital. I still feel, even if I was bathing in nuclear radiation at that point, I would totally be worth the extra strike to take a little bit of damage at that point. It's much better. Like I said, it's always that first strike or two that's going to take the most amount of health, and at that point you didn't take that much health damage, and so I feel like that would have been the best time to go for it.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, this is a personal opinion. I hate going after 4 meats outside of stage 3 when there's absolutely no food around. I just think it takes a long time to kill 4 meats, and most of them, hunters can hear from a mile away. Like at one point, the hunters heard, was that a tyrant that just got killed? So it's very obvious where you are, and the extra 1 meat you might get from a mammoth bird usually isn't worth the time, especially at stage 1 and stage 2 to an extent. Because if you do get engaged in that area, that tyrant could be the difference between a win or a loss in a possible engagement in that area. And again, that's more personal preference than anything else. But really, really good job. Really strong play. I'm eager to see round 3 and see how we all settle. Okay, I think that was everything I had on my plate. Do you guys have any questions or anything?
No, I don't have no questions.
I think you explained a lot of what went on that game fairly well. So let's just see if we can figure out what we need to work on.
Yep. The best thing is if you have to tell jokes like this, like when we were at PAX East and we lost our first 2 games in best of 5, it was all I really owe it to Pierce Price. Every single time he was cracking jokes, he was very lighthearted. He's like, don't get discouraged, because the moment you get discouraged, that's when you just invite yourself to make mistakes. Even if you lost brutally bad, push it off, shake it off, do whatever it has, come up with a chant if you have to, sing Kumbaya, whatever it is, but just don't take that into the next game. That's the most important thing. Okay.
So, how's Assault's doing all right? Because you haven't really given much feedback on Assault. I just want to make sure that.
So the first game, you were doing a really, really good job. The second game, you were kind of a little too disorganized for it to really matter. I did like that you were throwing down mines whenever you didn't see the monster in engagements, and when you didn't see it, I liked how you put it up to certain pathways so that the monster went that way. For instance, he had to actually use his flame breath to get rid of a couple of mines. That's perfect. That means that if you do engage him there, the flame breath might be off cooldown for a couple seconds, and every little bit always adds up. A little bit here, a little bit there. It really adds up and snowballs into big things. So no, I thought you were doing a pretty solid job. I think that once we get the core sides, like the hunters are doing what they're supposed to be, the monsters doing what they're supposed to be, I'll probably start following, kind of shadowing specifically, because I pretty much follow the monster around and look at it from his point of view, because that's kind of like the central command. The game revolves around the monster. I mean, that's just the way it is. And so I will be following and shadowing you individually for your specific skills and whatnot. But right now, I just want to make sure that the hunters are all working as a team, the monsters working as intended, and then once that seems pretty normalized in the map everyone's well of, then we'll go into the individuals.
Sounds good.
Cool beans. Let's hop into the next one. Okay, 1 second.